You know, when you pick up a standard history book, it's actually pretty easy to forget about, well, half the population. So today we're going to dive into the source material to explain the really unique history of women's oppression in America. It was an oppression that was often intimate, invisible, and just deeply woven into the fabric of the new nation.
Think about this. Even as the Declaration of Independence was being written, Abigail Adams was writing these famous words to her husband, John. It's such a powerful reminder that from the very, very beginning, the fight for women's equality was right there. It was this plea for recognition in a revolution that promised liberty for all, but, as we'll see, it didn't quite deliver on that promise for everyone.
So how did this social order get established in the first place? Let's start by exploring a really crucial idea from our source material. The idea that the subjugation of women wasn't some natural thing. It wasn't inevitable. It was a specific arrangement built for convenience and for control. Now, what's really fascinating here is this concept of intimate oppression. See, unlike other oppressed groups, women's subordination happened inside the home, right within the family. It was an oppression of intimacy, which made it all seem private, personal, maybe even normal. A woman was a servant, a sex mate, a companion, and a childbearer, all wrapped up into one single role. And this slide just shows you it absolutely did not have to be this way. Before European colonization, some indigenous societies, like the Zuni tribes, were matrilineal. Women owned property, they held real power. Now, contrast that with the brutal reality for arriving colonial women. So many were indentured servants, or as one ship's manifest starkly put it, they were agreeable persons sold with their own consent to settlers as wives. Sold. So how is this control maintained? Well, it didn't happen by chance. It was enforced by a really powerful set of legal, physical, and even ideological chains. The first chain was the law. It was a principle called coverture. And what this meant was that when a woman married, her legal existence basically just vanished. She couldn't own property, she couldn't sign contracts, she couldn't control her own wages. As the law literally put it, the very being or legal existence of the woman is suspended during the marriage. She became invisible to the law. The second chain was physical, and this was especially true for poor women and indentured servants. This letter from a woman named Elizabeth Spriggs to her father is just a haunting firsthand account of that reality. She talks about toiling day and night, being whipped for things she didn't even do. And she goes on, saying she had scarce anything but Indian corn and salt to eat. "We are almost naked," she wrote, "no shoes nor stockings to wear." Her suffering was a common experience for countless women who had absolutely no legal way to fight back. Now, for women who weren't indentured, the chains were often ideological. In the 19th century, this really powerful set of beliefs emerged that's now known as the cult of true womanhood. And it was, in its own way, a kind of prison of ideals. It was all built on these four pillars: piety, purity, submissiveness, and domesticity. Basically, any ambition outside this incredibly narrow sphere of the home was seen as unnatural, unfeminine. It was a really powerful tool for social control. But you can only push people so far, right? These conditions, especially as women started entering the new industrial workforce, well, they couldn't last forever. They began to plant the seeds of rebellion and a new shared consciousness. I want you to just think about this number for a second. 25 cents. That's for a whole day of grueling, dangerous work that lasted from sunup to sundown. The new textile mills in New England were mostly staffed by young women who were seen as this cheap and docile labor force. But oh boy, were they about to prove everyone wrong. And here you can just see the results. That shared exploitation in the factories created a totally new sense of solidarity. I mean, these weren't just isolated acts of defiance. This timeline shows a growing organized resistance. These women, these so-called spinsters, were finding their voice, and they were finding their power together. So you've got this new energy, this new solidarity, and it's about to merge with the biggest moral cause of the era, the fight to end slavery. This last section shows how the abolitionist movement really became the crucible for the women's rights movement. Women were absolutely crucial to the anti-slavery movement. They organized, they petitioned, they spoke out. And Angelina Grimke, who was this fierce Southern abolitionist, saw a direct link. She argued that only after freeing the slaves could they even begin the work of elevating women from their subordinate status. But here is the ultimate hypocrisy.
At the World Anti-Slavery Convention in London, the American female delegates, these are women who had crossed an entire ocean to fight for freedom, were barred from participating. They were forced to sit silently behind a curtain because they were deemed unfit to be heard, simply for being women.
That public humiliation was a spark. You can just imagine two of the delegates, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott, meeting in that segregated gallery. They realized they couldn't just fight for the rights of others, they had to fight for their own. And it was right there that they decided to hold a convention for women's rights. And 8 years later, that idea became a reality at Seneca Falls, New York. They drafted this, the Declaration of Sentiments. It was modeled on the Declaration of Independence, and it listed all the repeated injuries and usurpations on the part of man toward woman. Just look at this list. Each and every grievance is a direct challenge to the legal, economic, and social chains we've been talking about. And then, just 3 years later, at a women's convention in Ohio, the former slave Sojourner Truth delivered one of the most powerful speeches in American history. She connected the struggles of race and gender in a way that no one could possibly ignore, completely challenging that delicate, protected ideal of true womanhood with the harsh reality of her own life. And that brings us right back to today. The women at Seneca Falls laid out a truly revolutionary vision for equality. Now, many of those rights have been won, for sure, but when you look back at that list of grievances, it forces you to ask a really important question. Over 170 years later, which of those battles for full equality, respect, and autonomy are still being fought?
If this story made you think, hit the like button and share it with someone who loves history but wants to hear the untold side of it. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification because these stories were hidden for a reason. This episode was American History, Part 6. If you missed the first 5 parts, don't worry. Click on Part 1, Part 5 on your screen, or visit the channel to watch the full series from the beginning. Thank you for watching. History isn't just what we're taught, it's what we uncover.